This is my audience for the informative speech. I have my dad, my boyfriend, my mom, and my brother was supposed to be here, but he got called into work today, so he couldn't make it. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. This quote was said by former President Bill Clinton in January of 1998. My name is Sarah, and I was born in June of 1998. And on June 1st, President Clinton used his lawyer-client privilege to keep his secret secret during his time being investigated for his affair with Miss Monica Lewinsky. So now I'm going to tell you about many of the trends of the time for June of 1998. So the cost of living was pretty different. A new home only cost $173,000 compared to today's $379,000. A first-class stamp was only 32 cents as opposed to today's 49 cents. A new car cost $16,400, and interestingly, the most popular car for the time was the Volkswagen Beetle. And this is my favorite car. I always wanted a baby blue convertible Volkswagen Beetle. And I think it's very ironic that that was the most popular car during my birth month. Gas was only $1.06 as opposed to today's around $2.20. So I still wish it was like my birth month. Milk has stayed relatively constant at around $3.20 a gallon, which I think is pretty strange that milk has not changed at all. The average family income was $40,000 at that time as opposed to today's $60,000. I think that jump should have been higher, but it is not. Finally, gold was at $293 an ounce. Today it is at $1,300 an ounce. So if you bought a lot of gold back in 1998, you can surely make a profit now. Moving on to sports. On June 14th, the Chicago Bulls went to defeat the Utah Jazz in Game 6 of the NBA Finals 87-86. Michael Jordan, the famous Michael Jordan, shot the winning shot at the buzzer. For you golf fans out there, Dad, on June 21st, Lee Jensen won the 98th U.S. Open. I thought this was interesting because the U.S. Open had to have started in the year 1900, a very, very, very long time ago, for the 98th U.S. Open to be in 1998. On June 30th, David Beckham was ejected from the second round game of the World Cup. He was ejected because he chose to kick a player, and that player was hurt, so he greatly hurt his team and almost his career by getting ejected from this game. Finally, the Stanley Cup, which ran from June 9th to June 16th, was won by our team, the Detroit Red Wings, in a 4-game series. They won 2-1, 5-4, 2-1 again, and 4-1. They beat the Washington Capitals. As for the movies of the time, Mulan came out on June 19th of 1998. Dr. Dolittle came out on June 26th. Children of the Corn 5 came out on June 21st. I did not even know they made so many of these movies. The Mighty Kong came out on June 16th. And Godzilla came out on May 20th. Although this did not happen in June of 1998, it was still one of the most popular movies during that month. What I thought was very interesting is that although we've heard of many of these movies and they have carried over into our generation, none of the songs that I researched have carried over like that. The two most popular songs are The Boy Is Mine by Brandy and Monica and Too Close by Next. Finally, I'm going to tell you about some of the news that happened in June. On June 2nd, the Space Shuttle Discovery went into space to retrieve Andrew Thomas from the Russian space station Mir. He had been there for almost 4.5 months, and the space shuttle returned 10 days later on June 12th. The Royal Caribbean Cruise Line was also forced to pay $9 million for expelling oily bilge waste into the ocean during its cruises. I think this is very important because they should have to pay for harming our environment. On June 4th, Terry L. Nichols was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole because of his involvement in the Oklahoma City bombings. He did not directly take part in it, but he was charged with conspiracy. This bombing killed 168 people. On June 3rd, my birthday, an HIV vaccine was approved by the FDA for the first widespread study. This study has helped save millions of people's lives and increased our knowledge about the disease greatly. Again on my birthday, June 3rd, a German high-speed train hit an overpass bridge in the country. This killed 101 people and injured another 88. This was the deadliest high-speed train crash in our history. And on June 11th, the tuberculosis DNA sequence was decoded by a British and French science team. This has also greatly increased our knowledge of the disease and helped us come up with many treatments. So to summarize, in June of 1998, Bill Clinton was still trying to hide his secrets. The Detroit Red Wings won the Stanley Cup. Mulan was a very popular movie then and now. No songs have really transferred over to our generation. And the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line had to pay $9 million for harming the environment, which they should have been forced to do. I thought this information was all very interesting, and I enjoyed learning how different the times have changed. Thank you.
Sure, I'll turn it off.
There's my audience again, and my cat came.
Can I go?